Hello and welcome to M's Authority Podcast. I am M, your astro goddess, and I am here to serve you up the energies of the week ahead. And let me tell you, I have had a little bit of time away. I've been a little bit inconsistent, and I will have you know that I am back, baby. I am back. So here we go. You get your weekly episode drops back. I'm so excited to be back. I feel like I really needed this time off because I just lost a little bit of discipline and you know what, just needed to get really clear on what is important to me and what I love and what brings me joy. And it's so very fitting because now we're in Leo season and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going to go back to play and joy and what's fun. And what I realized was play and joy and fun for me is I actually really fucking love riffing with you guys here on the potty and also on the YouTubes because I'm going to be recording on the YouTubes as well. And yeah, getting this message out even further. So thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. If you are going to watch this on YouTube, you will also get access to the video of the charts that I'm going to talk you through. So that will be a little added bonus if you want to jump over and check that out as well. Otherwise, I will just talk you through as I do best over the podcast if you are listening just with your ears. So how are we doing? We are in a very transitional time. As we can see, the energy of 2024 has dramatically shifted. We had this really dramatic shift from about July, June, July, and it's almost like the second half of the year is completely different energy. And I don't know if you've been feeling it, but I certainly have. And it feels a little bit cray-cray. There is a lot of energy moving through. And I feel like things were just on hyperspeed. But I'm going to bring you a little bit of good news is that things will start to slow down, more of a forced slowdown, because we do in fact have an upcoming Mercury retrograde happening this Tuesday, the 5th of August. So, oh, sorry, Monday, actually, Monday, the 5th of August, that Mercury retrograde will be happening. And as we move through this episode, I'll talk you all through that. We also have the Lionsgate portal on the 8th of the 8th, which I'm going to speak about because as I've shared this opinion before, I believe the Lionsgate is a little bit of a load of shit and a lot of people do exploit it. However, there is actually some half decent astrology happening this 8th of the 8th. And, you know, numerologically, it's quite potent as well. So if you believe in numerology, then, yeah, there is definitely some potency to that. So before we really dive into all of the juicy stuff, I really just want to invite you as well. Speaking of the 8th of the 8th, I am running a free masterclass where I'm going to show you how to manifest using your own natal chart. So it's going to be super cool and how to work with the current energies that we have on offer, especially on the 8th of the 8th. And you're also going to learn the truth about the 8th of the 8th. And then I'm going to share with you something really, really cool, another offering that I will be bringing to you guys later in August. So I'll be sharing a very special offer with you there. So it's something that you're really not going to want to miss. You're going to get so much value. And yeah, you will get to know your chart a little bit better. You will understand what energies are hitting you at the moment. And yeah, it's just going to be fun. We get to do a live call together. It's free. What have you got to lose? So jump on that. There will be a link in the show notes to jump into that. And yeah, I feel like that's all I really need to share housekeeping wise. If you are loving these episodes, make sure you share them with family and friends. The more that we get this message out, then the more that I can, you know, help people live an aligned life and also just really help them navigate these challenging times because let me tell you, 2025 is going to be fucking crazy. It's going to be crazy. So get ready for that. And I'll, you know, obviously be prepping you guys all as we move towards that. We don't have to think about that just yet, but we are definitely, yeah, starting to feel some of these shifts and energies happen and unfold right now. So that is the housekeeping done. And I will start this episode by jumping straight into the new moon. So the new moon is happening today on the 4th of August. So this is, I am Australian. This is the 4th of August Australian time. And I'm going to, if you are over on the YouTubes, you are going to see my screen. Yeah, if I can work it out. So bear with me on the podcast there as we technically get this all up and running. Why aren't we? hold on 1 second. I want to share my screen. Yes, 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 yes. All right, I'll hold on, get this toolbar out of the way. We want to do that. And we want, no, no. Hold on. I can't even share a screen, guys. I can't even do it. Why is this toolbar? Go away, toolbar. Move, move. There we go. There we go. All right. Here we go. So this is the chart of the new moon, which is happening on 9:12 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time at 12 degrees of Leo. Now, before I really jump into all things, let's get this toolbar out of the way. It's very annoying. It's very annoying. Um, Before I dive into all things Leo new moon, let's just talk a little bit about Leo season, right? So Leo season, we've been in this for a couple of weeks now. We clicked over on the 22nd of July. So yeah, a couple of weeks. We've been in a waning moon cycle. So, the energy's been a little bit off. But I don't know about you, but have you definitely felt like you wanted to kind of be seen a bit more, get out there a bit more? I was really in a bit of a hibernation mode when it was Cancer season, and hence why I was not on the podcast, hence why I just went a bit MIA, went a bit hermit, went a bit within, had a lot of juicy stuff come through, really allowed myself to realign my values, everything, realign and completely jig my business so much. So Leo season is all about being seen, right? Leo wants to be seen. Leo is ruled by the sun. And so this Leo season is going to be a little bit different in the fact that this time around we had to deal with, as soon as the sun went into Leo, it was directly opposing Pluto. So this was kind of bringing a bit of a heaviness, a bit of a depth. But we now have passed through that. So we're not under that influence of Pluto any longer. And so now Leo is really free to kind of explore and play and have fun, because Leo really does want to have and enjoy pleasures of life. It wants to be seen. Leo wants to be proud as who it is and who it's showing up to be. Okay. The sun is what our expression is. It wants to illuminate things. And this is really going to help you with your own self-expression and who you're showing up to be. Who do you want to be? Is really what Leo is asking you to be. And I really want you to dive in and be the main character of your life. Are you being, I was trying to think of what they call, are you being like the offsider or the shadow actor of your life? Or are you being the main character of your life? Are you taking responsibility? Are you showing up and taking the lead and, showing you, moving through what's next, what's in the next chapter, what's in the next scene? Really start to do that and start to make it a little bit more about you showing up and being seen in that and being a leader and taking charge. That's what Leo season really wants us to do. It really wants you to step up and be seen. Now, this particular new moon, we have a few pretty decent aspects. So as we can see here, if you're watching this on the YouTubes, we've got the sun and the moon, and it actually falls in the 5th house at this particular time. And it is 12 degrees of Leo. Now, there are not too many aspects. So there are some nice sextiles to both Mars and Jupiter. And we also have a nice trine to the North Node in Aries. And so these are really supporting you in showing you a new way of how to show up. So this Mars sextile to the new moon is all around, and Mars is currently in Gemini, right? So Mars is showing you that there are multiple different ways to do things. You don't have to be rigid and stuck in the same approach that you always have. You can be adaptable and flexible, and you can try new things. There is really good support here to be bold and try new things. Leo wants you to be bold. It wants you to take that first move, right? So you've got the support here with this really supportive sextile to Mars, okay? Now, we also have that supportive sextile to Jupiter. So Jupiter is then going to expand everything. So this Leo energy is going to be expanded, which is great. But we do have to remember the shadow of Leo is about being in the ego. And we really want to be able to move beyond making everything like we are not the only person in this universe. We are the only person in our own universe, yes. But when it comes to the grand scheme of things, we have to understand that, yes, we want to be seen as we are, but we have to remember that the world does not simply just revolve around us and or our ego. So be mindful that you're not being too over the top, and you're not being too cocky and too egoic and being a bit, yeah, it's a fine line. It's a fine line between being able to show up and being in your boldness and your truth. And I always love to use this analogy, whether it's a Leo moon, Leo season, is Leo is the lion, right? Or the lioness. And lions don't go around and brag about the fact that they're fucking lions. They're not like, hey, look at me, I'm a fucking lion, bitch. No, do you know what they do? They just stand proud, and you know that that fucking lion over there is the king or the queen, all right? And they know it. And they don't have to do anything else. They just embody this confidence and this boldness about them. Okay. So I want you to remember that too. Just because I'm saying this doesn't mean you have to be over the top and, bragging and accentuating. Be proud and just own it. That is a very big difference to then being in your ego around that. So always remember that. Now we also, as I mentioned, have this trine to the north node. So there is, and it's actually a direct, oh, not quite, no, 12 degrees. So still close, tight orb, 3-degree orb. We have support here from the north node in showing you that there actually is opportunities, and there is something that can come from this for your highest good when you're able to step into this energy. But if you're not able to step into this main character energy and owning it and owning the fact that you want to take charge and be the leader and, be bold and take risks, then if you can do all of that, yes, there can be some really wonderful opportunities that you're being pointed towards. But the other shadow to that is that if you're not willing to step up and be that, you will miss out on some of these opportunities. So make sure that you can start to step up and lead into that, because there will be rewards and opportunities there. Now we also have, is there any other aspects? Not really, no. So they're the main aspects. So relatively uninhibited, this Leo new moon, and it's very good because we have the benefic of Jupiter working with this moon. So we have support there. We do have the malefic of Mars, but I feel like this is more in a supportive thing because it's a sextile. And yeah, the North Node in Aries as well. So I think this is going to be a really beautiful moon to really start to just step up, show up, and lead. It's going to be one of those moons where, you might just see someone who's really starting to own it and being confident, and they just fucking come out and they're like, boom. And you're like, oh man, they are just exuding confidence. They're exuding this lioness energy. So if that is you and you need this kick up the pants, fucking go and do it. So that's really the Leo new moon. Now, that's what I was going to share. So also on this Sunday, we have the Mars in Gemini making a sextile directly to the North Node in Aries. Now, again, I feel like given that this is happening under the new moon, there are opportunities. There are opportunities to take action on new things where you're being guided to move towards. And again, we know that the North Node in Aries is all around stepping into our power, owning our sovereignty, and really starting to take responsibility of our own, moving towards taking action. So Mars is in mutual reception here, given that Mars rules Aries. And so Mars is all about the drive of moving forward and starting new things, right? And so being in Gemini, it's showing you that there are new ways of doing things. You can do things different ways, and you've got to find that way that aligns back to the truth of you and who you are in your own sovereignty. So don't do things because someone else has told you and it worked for them. If it doesn't feel true to you, you cannot move forward taking action on that. Okay, remember that. That's going to be a really big underpinning and highlighting of this Leo new moon as well. Now, on this has just dropped in that I really wanted to share this, and you know that I love to talk a little bit about what's happening on the global stage. Now, we are currently, we have the Olympics on. Now, one thing that has really come out, especially the last day or two, was the Algerian boxer. And you probably know the story I'm referring to. Everyone has been tearing this poor woman down to shreds, saying that she is a man and she's beating up another man on the world stage, and this is not okay. And this is misinformation at its finest. Now, I am the type of person who will do a little bit of research and critically analyze what it is that I'm reading, sharing, because I don't believe fucking many things that I read on mainstream media. Now, this happened to pop up on my Facebook news feed. Maybe it was yesterday morning. And I was like, okay, surely, there's got to be more to this. So I did a bit of digging. Now, it turns out that this poor woman was actually born biologically a woman, but she does have the XY chromosome, but she has identified as a woman her entire life. And then she has, been boxing. She boxed in the Tokyo Olympics, for goodness sake, as a woman. And then now people are turning around, and there was one discrepancy, which in 2023, apparently the World Boxing Championship, she got denied because of eligibility requirements, which were not actually specified as to why. I'm going to say it's because she had that XY chromosome. But if she's already been boxing for her whole life, identified as a female, imagine having to grow up with that kind of stigma anyway, and then to have all of this thrown at you, and knowing that, even to just get to the Olympics, what a fucking mammoth effort that has taken. Now and she's already been fighting females and she's been beaten. Fair enough if she was indefeatable, no one could beat her, but she's been beaten many a time. And from what I see and hear is that she's not the best boxer in the world. There are better females than her. So this really piqued my attention. And I thought, wow, people are so quick to jump on bandwagons and follow and have that sheep or herd mentality. Whereas we have really lost the ability. There is a very few select people, I like to think of myself as one of those, who actually can critically think and make choices for themselves and not just believe an Instagram post and then plaster that, because you are just spreading this misinformation. And so I was really kind of thinking like, wow, this is just crazy, because this is happening under the shadow of Mercury. So communication is already a little bit distorted. We know that Mercury is going to go retrograde tomorrow. So things are going to be even more confused. Communication is not going to be strong. But it really, really is just a reflection as well as to what happened back in 2020. And you know exactly what I'm referring to, where the herd mentality just followed whatever the government and or mainstream orders were. And they weren't able to critically think, does this actually logically make sense to me? Is this my truth? And I think that's the biggest thing. And I really want to instill this, and, even know that we're talking about the Leo new moon and things. We are actually going to have Jupiter and Saturn coming together in a square, where that is going to kind of bring up a few things that happened in that 2020 early on period, where we had Jupiter and Saturn actually come together in a conjunction. And now 4 years on, they're going to come and have a square. And so that's going to happen towards the back end of August. But I feel like this is really starting to stir things up as we're building and applying that pressure towards that particular transit. And I feel like, yeah, it's really interesting, because it's just crazy. It just blows my mind how people cannot, they just jump on bandwagons and they just believe things to be gospel, and they don't actually do any critical research. So that was kind of more of a bit of a rant, but I just felt like that needed to be said and to bring that up, because yeah, it's a really seems to be a really common thing and theme that I'm noticing. And yeah, so I love to try to get facts and truth straight. So I will never share, and that's the other thing, I will never share anything if I have not validified the fact that it could be true. Validified, did I just make that word up? Probably. Validated, I think was the word I was looking for. Validified. Same. And so I will never share anything unless I've actually then gone and done a little quick Google search. It doesn't take much, guys. It really doesn't take much. A few Google searches and then going, okay, yep, cool. This looks like a pretty valid source. Yep, come blah, blah, blah. And doing a little bit of research, and then make your own mind up. And then come back to, okay, yeah, that feels pretty true to me. Yeah, I feel like that's where I want to go with it. Not just believing the shit that you're spoon-fed. Well, I feel like that went a little bit ranty. Sorry about that. Anyways, let's dive into the Monday energy, Monday the 5th. So I'm going to just quickly change this chart here. So Monday energy, we have the dun 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 Mercury retrograde. Now, Mercury is going retrograde at 4 degrees of Virgo. Now, this Mercury retrograde, it is going to retrograde all the way back to 21 degrees of Leo. Now, you will feel this difference between Mercury in Virgo versus Mercury coming back into Leo. Now, these two areas of your chart are getting a little bit of a redo, and they're going to, a retrograde is always about slowing down. So things we're going to notice when Mercury is in Virgo is we are going to notice that it's probably going to feel a bit extra strong because Mercury is in its domicile of Virgo. It is also going to no, it doesn't actually. Don't listen to me. And so yeah, we will definitely notice the effects with Mercury first stationing retrograde in Virgo, and then it will move back into Virgo, Leo. Oh my gosh, Em, get it out, get the words out. And so this is really going to noticeably feel different once that shift happens, which will happen, I believe it to be mid next week. And so as we start to notice with a retrograde, we are being called to slow down. We are being called to reflect and to redo things that potentially we have either overlooked, or we just need to come back and refine a few things as well. So look to where Virgo and or Leo are in your charts, because these are going to be some hot spots, especially between 4 degrees to 21 degrees of Leo. This is going to be the part that's going to be really any words you can think of. It's going to be time to get retrospective, time to refine, time to reflect, time to redo. So it's a bit of a do-over, but you need to create that time to slow down, to actually allow these energies to fully integrate. Okay, so yes, the energies have been feeling like they're going on hyperspeed. You know, we have Mars in Gemini, we feel like we're fucking all over the place. Yeah, Mercury and Virgo can be like, we're really up in the mind, we're really over analytical, we're overthinking things. And so I think we will really notice that shift once it drops back into Leo. We can kind of have that balance of head versus heart, because Leo is really heart-centered energy and truth. And so I feel like once we have that shift come back, we're going to be like, okay, you know, I was really over analytical. I was really in my logical mind. And then I came back to my truth, my heart, once I had that time to slow down, and I was able to really find my truth. And then as Leo, Mercury then comes back and does, picks up its speed again, then it will be like, okay, now it all makes sense. Now I can see the logical reasoning behind this, and I trusted my heart. So it's going to be that balancing game of head versus heart. So try and not get too caught up in the perfectionistic tendencies of Mercury and Virgo and overthinking and overanalyzing and getting into analysis paralysis. Just slow down and try to get out of the head as much as you can. That would be the biggest piece of advice here for this Mercury retrograde in Virgo and Leo. Now, I just need to double check as to some dates. Let me just checkity check. Yes, so Mercury will be in retrograde until the 29th of August. Now, also on this particular day, we have Venus also entering Virgo. So we're going to get a little bit more of this kind of Virgoin energy happening. So Venus in Virgo is really about wanting to step into her purity, right? It's about really coming back into your values and what feels in alignment to you. Now, Venus in Virgo is also going to meet up with Mercury in Virgo, actually on the 8th of the 8th. So there's going to be a connection and a conjunction where these two are going to meet up. I can't quite remember the exact degree points, but we'll see that as we move through the week. And so that is going to be, yeah, we'll feel this notable energy shift of having Venus into Virgo. You may feel like Venus in Leo was a bit more fun and playful, whereas Venus in Virgo is a little bit more serious. It's a bit more kind of like getting the logic behind things. It's about really being meticulous in how you want things done. It's about, you know, really being, especially when it comes to Venusian themes such as money, relationships, and anything that you value, it's about really just coming back and refining. Virgo is all about refinement as it is. And so Venus in Virgo also is really about being of service and really looking at, okay, well, how can I make a greater impact and how can I kind of solve these problems? Here are the problems and how can I now solve them? And so it's going to be really interesting when Venus and Mercury do meet up on that 8th of the 8th portal. And I'm going to speak all about that also in the masterclass as well. So remember, free masterclass, come and join. There will be links to come and join me. So yeah, Venus in Virgo, she's not the happiest here, but it will be a nice little shift for her. And, she's going to breeze through pretty quickly through Virgo, and then she'll be happy in Libra when she shifts into there. But for the moment, I feel like we're already in this Virgo energy, especially having this Mercury retrograde take place here. So we're really going to, just have this time to refine things, refine our values, really, kind of get clear, purify a few things, get rid of some shit that we don't need, and get a bit organized, especially when it comes to our relationships, money, and finances, getting organized with that and being prepared as well. Um, Venus in Virgo wants to be prepared. So that is Monday for us. Now, if we click over to Tuesday the 6th. The only real changes that we see is that the moon also moves into Virgo. So there is going to be those first couple of days where Mercury goes retrograde is going to feel very intense. We're going to have the moon in Virgo, we'll have Venus in Virgo, and also Mercury in Virgo. So it is going to feel like a lot of energy. So just try to not get too caught up in the head. Try to drop back into that heart space as much as you can, and really just allow yourself to slow down. If you feel like things are just getting a bit too much, you're getting flustered and you're kind of like in this analysis paralysis and you just don't know what to do, experiencing overwhelm, overthinking things, just take time. Just stop, rest, take time. That will be the biggest piece of advice I can give you for this Mercury retrograde. And then we move into Wednesday. And as you can see here, moon's still in Virgo, but it's going to make that opposition to Saturn. So again, we're going to potentially feel like there's a couple of roadblocks with how things are working out. We're getting caught up in this overthinking and things are kind of being cut off, and you're kind of like, oh, fuck, I thought this was what I needed to do. But, Saturn in Pisces is really kind of being discerning as well about returning you back to your truth. So really just wanting to cut that cord of like, okay, no, if something feels like it needs to be taken away, if it's not for your highest good, it will. And so don't stress, it's only just going to be a small thing, which happens on that 7th which is the Wednesday, 7th of August. So I feel like that is going to be something that is quite short-lived, having that opposition to Saturn. But you will kind of feel like, the universe might just kind of feel like it's a bit, you're like, oh, I was just really feeling like this is the way. And then I got all caught up and I was all flustered, and then it got shut down, or an opportunity just kind of got taken away. So that will be the 7th. Just checking. Oh, and on the 7th, the sun makes a beautiful sextile to Jupiter. Now, this also carries through into that 8-8 energy. Now, this is beautiful. The sun making a sextile to Jupiter expands this beautiful sun energy. And I feel like this is a beautiful opportunity for manifestation. Now, the sun sextile Jupiter is also going to really support you in bringing forward new opportunities, and again, it all comes back to, from as we started the week on that Sunday with the Leo new moon, it all comes back to, if you can step up and be in that main character energy, you will be rewarded, and there are opportunities to be had, but you need to be willing to step up into that space. So that is the energy of Wednesday. Just checking, there is no other real changes here. Nope. And then we move on to the 8th of the 8th, the 8-8 portal. Now, the 8-8 portal. This is, I feel like I'm like, do I want to speak into Lionsgate? I don't really want to share too much, but I will. So there is a lot of misconceptions around 8-8 Lionsgate. Now, you've probably heard this thrown around, and people are saying like it's a potent day, it's the most potent day of the year to manifest, and all your dreams will come true, and blah 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 blah. Now, let me be clear, astrologically, this actually doesn't really make any sense. As you can see here, on the 8th of the 8th every year, the sun will fall pretty close. It's nearly the halfway point of Leo, but sometimes it falls on the 7th, sometimes it falls on the 9th or the 8th. As you can see here, the halfway point was actually on the 7th, so it's not even the halfway point of Leo. So other than numerologically, the 8-8, there's nothing really astrologically valid that backs it up consecutively on that day, right? So there's always going to be different astrology playing out each year. This year it does actually happen to be half decent astrology, hence why I'm doing a little masterclass. And when you look at numerologically, that there is the 8-8 portal. So, numerologically, that has its significance, representing like transformation, the never ending, never beginning, or always beginning, never ending infinity. And there is potency to that because the 8 also brings abundance. And it's kind of that like bringing things here into the physical 3D as well, and that match of like the 3D versus 5D, there is that kind of energy of the numerological 8 number. And then we're in an 8 years. So there's that triple 8. Okay. So that does validate a little bit of extra potency for this particular year. Hence why I've decided to do a free masterclass. But it's not because of the fact that it's just 8/8's Lionsgate. Now, there's a lot of other misinformation as well as on misinformation. Some people just have no fucking clue what they're saying, and they're just like, oh, I saw this person post about it. And there is some claims that it can be related to the Sirius fixed star, which if they say that the sun is lining up with Sirius, they are completely incorrect because the sun is at Sirius is at 14 degrees of Cancer, and the sun is currently in Leo. So a month ago, yeah, the sun aligned to Sirius. So that's kind of closer on that 7/7 gateway, or thereabouts, 6/7, 7/8/7. And so there is more relevance there back in Cancer season as there is with Leo season, because that can't actually physically happen where the sun becomes in alignment with Sirius. There is the other thing with Sirius that the Egyptians could see that the Sirius morning star rose just before sunrise. And so when this would happen, they could then, so Sirius sometimes becomes invisible in the night or evening sky. And so they claim that Sirius rises somewhere between the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th of August. And that was indicative of, or the Egyptians used to say that this represented a time when the Nile would then start to flood. So then they kind of worshipped this Sirius star, bringing the fact that when the Nile flooded, it brought abundance and everything just really grew amazingly thereafter for spring. So there is that. Whether or not, again, somewhere along the way, it got tainted, right? So there are a couple of things that, I'm kind of clutching at straws here to kind of make it something. So it's really actually not anything. Now, in the past, yeah, sure, I got caught up in that because I didn't really, do as much research as what I have this year. And it really is just a hypey thing. So if you're not feeling the hype, if it doesn't feel true to you, don't worry. If it does feel like something, and again, this time I really tuned back into, does this feel good for me? And this year I was like, yeah, it does. So this year holds extra potency. And so that's why I was like, okay, I am actually going to work with this. So, not every 8/8, because obviously it happens once per year, is going to be equal. And there are also going to be different astrological forces at play as well. And no 8/8 portal will be the same. And so, yeah, I guess it really just use your own discernment. If it feels good for you, do it. I don't like shitting on people's parades, but I also fucking hate it when people spread misinformation and have no fucking clue and then just fucking go on and exploit it and sell shit. And I'm like, that is just, for me, integrity is one of my highest values. So that is why. So yeah, that's the 8th. We have the moon. We'll be making that transition later that night. What time is that? I can't see the time. It just blocks out there. Okay, so around 9 o'clock, the moon will be moving into Libra. So up until all day that day, we will also experience that Virgo moon energy. Okay, and then towards the back end of the week after Thursday, there's really not too much happening in the sky. We have the moon move into Libra, and yeah, as that happens, it's going to make that opposition to the North Node. So, you're going to get a few things stirring up within that, emotionally you may be feeling like, oh, am I actually on my soul's path? Is it? And this is, again, going to be short-lived because the moon moves very quickly. The moon moves every 2.5 days. It moves into a different sign. And so you know, on what day is that? Friday, you might notice there is like a little bit of like push pull around, like, is this really what I want? Is this where I'm moving towards? Are my emotions invested in that? Is there balance around this? Am I being too much of something or not enough of one thing? You know, Libra really wants to find that balance. So that will be for Friday, just checking to see if there's anything else. Oh, actually, that reminds me, I didn't actually talk about on the 8th that we have Venus and Mercury. And again, just because this time is a little bit off, but earlier in the day, we had that Venus Mercury coming together. So when Venus and Mercury come together, it's really about aligning our thoughts and what we're attracting. Venus is our attraction, and how they both come together. And obviously, depending on what sign it falls in. So with it happening in the sign of Virgo, it's really about kind of like getting really clear on aligning your thoughts and your values and making sure that they're really refined and they're both pointing you towards the right direction, right? And so it's kind of like this seeding point of this new cycle. Now, this does happen. Actually, to be honest, I actually can't tell you off the top of my head how frequently the Mars-Mercury conjunctions happen, but I dare say it would be a couple of times throughout the year, given that Mercury does retrograde quite frequently. So I would, at a guess, say that, but again, I cannot be sure, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, anyway, so when these two come together, it's like we're kind of getting this battle of heart versus head as well, and really coming back to what feels like truth. And in Virgo, it's really about like, okay, is what I've been doing really for the service and the highest good of humanity? Or is it actually something that I've been really kind of a bit more selfish? Or have I been, you know, not actually honoring what more I could be giving in terms of service? So I feel like you're just going to have that little bit of a refinement there. Again, Virgo really just wants to refine things. It really wants to get clear. It's like, okay, show me what it is that we need to strip back, refine, and perfect. Virgo wants to perfect things. So it's kind of like, okay, are your values now really in line with your thoughts? And is there synergy or is there disjoint? And what needs to shift and change in order for that to happen? And again, Virgo being the fact that it is a mutable sign, there is adaptability here. So there is room for you to kind of shift and change and be adaptable in the way that you're thinking and the way that you're doing things as well. Now, yeah, and I feel like there can actually be also, and again, this could go either way, but I feel like with your conversations in your relationships, this can actually be kind of like some important stuff can happen on this day when it comes to your conversations and with regards to your relationships as well. So pay attention to any conversations that you're having. And yeah, again, are you being receptive to receive what is happening in that conversation? Because Mercury and retrograde kind of communication is not at its strength. It's a little bit distorted. So again, just be mindful of like, if you really do need to have important conversations, just kind of maybe wait a few days when it comes to relationships. There might be a little bit of tension happening there. Yeah, so that's really, let me just go back through. Da, da, da. And then we finished the week off with a Sunday. And again, moon's still in Libra, so there isn't too much. Let me just double check my notes over here. My little bits of scribble. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, so there's really not a whole heap else happening here. So that is our week ahead energy. Now, I hope that you got all that you needed from this episode. I hope that you are embodying your main character energy. I hope that you are stepping into your power, taking bold action, and being a leader, especially when it comes towards your ambitions, your goals, and your dreams. I'm so passionate about helping people move towards that, and I'll fucking inspire you to give you a bit of a kick up the pants if you need it. So that is the energy of the week ahead. I hope that you got everything you needed and more. I will be in your ear holes and or on your videos next week. I can't wait to, yeah. Oh, and that's the other thing. I didn't mention after that new moon, as we start the week, we also then move into a waxing moon cycle, which is great. So the moon is growing and building into that full moon that we're going to have on the 20th in Aquarius. So that is actually going to really, you know, you're going to notice the energy kind of, you might feel like your own energy lifts up, but you also going to kind of feel like that push pull of like you need to slow down because Mercury's in retrograde. And so if you feel good, just make sure that you're, again, not being too over analytical is another little tip there. Get out of the head and just slow down. So that is all I wanted to finish with there. I hope that you have a beautiful, beautiful week, and I will talk soon. I never know how to finish this. I kind of get awkward. I'm like, yep, have a good day. And I'm like, I already said that. Anyways, lots of love to you, beautiful souls. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.